I'm Rick, Andy Kikuchi, Paolo Sedini, two great musicians. Well, I was born in Liverpool, the start of the 50s. The city of the Beatles. They actually grew up a few hundred yards from where I was born. I went to school in swinging London when the family moved back down to London. My school was Sidcup Grammar School. On Sidcup Station today, there are two statues. One to a young guy called Mick Jagger, the other to another guy called Keith Richards. They met for the very first time at Sidcup on the station near my school. They became the heart of the Rolling Stones. Just down the road from me, in Bromley, Beckenham, another young guy was growing up. He was called Davy Jones. He then became David Bowie. I grew up in the boom of British rock and roll. Well, at the beginning of the 70s, I decided to hitchhike across Europe. I went and spent time as a hippie in the Greek islands and in Turkey. Then I learned, wow, I have a place at university, Kent University, Canterbury. But my father, looking at me with long hair and a moustache, said, I'm not going to pay for a disgusting character like this. So I had to go to university and decide to work to pay for my studies. That's how I met Clive. I met Clive trying to run out of the restaurant that he was managing without paying the bill. He stopped me, we became friends, and both learnt we were trying to make ends meet, working in a restaurant to pay our studies at Kent University. One good turn deserves another. So in the summer, I had to work doing cabaret and singing songs for the old age pensioners that would come to Canterbury on holiday. That's how I decided to basically involve Clive, and together we started a cabaret team. Now, finished university, I decided I must use my degree to something good. So I went and became a minicab driver. Now, as a minicab driver, it was my first twist of fate, destiny. I was given a job to go and pick up another couple of young guys. They had long hair like me, moustaches. We're in 1976. I put them in the back of the cab. I turned around and realized one is a guy called Freddie Mercury, and the other guy is his manager. They just recorded a song called Bohemian Rhapsody. The Queen were just starting out. My first meeting with destiny. Well, it gets to 1978. It's September. And I say to Clive, look, let's leave. Let's go and see, let's have an adventure. Something must be out there for us. Let's cross Europe again, maybe go to India, maybe become hippies in India, maybe let's get to Australia. Who knows what destiny holds for us? I remember going down to Dover in our rusty Mini Cooper and switching on the radio before I get on and drive onto the ferry. On the radio, there was this song, a new band from Newcastle called Dire Straits. I get a shiver in the dark when it's raining in the park in me time. Way up the river you stop and hold everything. Band is blowing dirty, double for 10. You feel alright when you hear the music ring. Well, you step inside and you don't see too many faces. Coming out the rain to hear the jazz go down. Competition in other places, but the horns, they're playing that sound. When down south, when down south, London town. We get off at Calais. We drive across France. We've got to get to Turkey and sell the car. But you know what? We stop in Milan, and in Milan, leaving the car for 20 minutes, a thief comes and empties the car. We have nothing. No clothes, no money, nothing. Wow. Italy, what a welcome. We're going to have to find a job. We've got to work. We drive to Florence. We sleep in the car. Next morning, we go into a laundry and we start singing cabaret songs, desperate for money, in front of 5 Italian housewives. Their mouths drop open, but they are incredibly generous. They give us 200 lira, 500 lira, even 1,000 lira. We can buy wine. We can buy a roll to eat, a panino. We continue our journey looking for a job. We stop at Prato, Pistoia, Montecatini, Pescia. I have a map on my lap. Clive is driving the car. I see there's a town. Stop. It's called Luck. It's easy. In Italian, you put an A or an O at the end of any English word, and it becomes Italian. So luck, lucca, of course. It's going to be fortune, fortune. We arrive in Lucca, which you say Lucca, on the 13th of September, 1978. It's the Festa di Santa Croce. The town is lit up with candles. It's full of people, children laughing, women and men having a wonderful time. I'm thinking, wow, this is better than London. This is better than Rio. We have found nirvana. This is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The very next day, we couldn't believe it. We also found a job for both of us, teaching English. But the next day, when we go out ready for the fantastic nightlife of Lucca, there's nobody. 2 people, a dog, in Via Filungo. I say, what's happened? Gosh, we must find a job, earn money, and get away from Lucca. This will be terrible living here. So we start to teach English. We do English shows in schools, and we are spotted by a local entrepreneur, a lady called Mariolina Marcucci. She invites us to go and teach English on a television. A television? Wow, that's like the BBC. We're going to be rich. We were paid 250,000 lira a month. Gosh, 125 euro a month. Amazing. We go, and the very last episode, we are performing. In the studio, a man is watching us through a glass. His name is Ciro D'Amico. He's come from Los Angeles. He's got an idea. He's seen in New York City the start of a video channel called MTV in 1981. He wants to launch the same idea in Italy. And you know what? It's going to be the first of its kind in Europe. And looking through the glass, I was dressed as a doctor. Clive was on all fours on top of a table, and I was teaching him, because we grew up with Monty Python humor, with a toilet roll, pushing it into his mouth, I was saying, what is he eating? He is eating toilet paper. Now, repeat after me. What is he eating? He is eating toilet paper. Ciro D'Amico looked at us and he said, they are incredible. They are completely mad. I want them. We became the first VJs in not only Italy, but also in Europe. Videomusic was born. We started with very few people watching the channel, but within 6 months we had 2-3 million young teenagers all over Italy glued to the television. I get to meet the heroes of my youth. I get to interview David Bowie, the Stones, the surviving Beatles. I get to interview the legends, sing as well with Joe Cocker, with Wilson Pickett, with the Temptations. I meet Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, Depeche Mode. I can't believe it. And of course, U2. Amazing. Bono, The Edge, spending time with them. Who would have imagined?
Is it getting better? Do you feel the same? Will it make it easy now? Got someone to blame? Well, it's one life, one need when it's in the night. One love, you got to share it. If you baby, you can't hear for it.
Well, now I get to my theory. Luck in Lucca. You know what? In 1982, I'd got to know a guy who had a bookshop here, Maurizio Pera. He was a wonderful authority on Puccini. He knew everything about the private life of Puccini. And also he had the key to the birthplace of Puccini. One night, with a bottle of wine, just the two of us go to Puccini's house. With the key, he opens the door. The two of us go into Puccini's house alone. I sit at the piano of the maestro. It's out of tune, but I play my party piece, Elton John, Your Song. Then I start playing boogie woogie. I start playing rock and roll. I start playing Elvis, the guy that I listened to when I was a kid. And I thought, this is sacrilege. I mustn't do this. And then I thought, wait a minute. No. If Giacomo was here, his spirit's here, he'd say, sure, I was the first pop star. I was the first rock star. Giacomo was a dandy. He liked to dress well. He was a womanizer. He liked to buy fast cars. He wanted to publicize every one of his operas, everywhere he went. Paris, London, New York. Everyone must know about my work. He had friends that he would tell dirty jokes with at home, just like Elvis, just like Elvis. His peers, they all looked at him and said, no, your music is for the masses. It's popular rubbish. It's not real opera. That's what my father said to me about the Beatles. That's what people thought about Elvis when he started with rock and roll. But actually, he's still being listened to 100 years after his death. And you know what? He was the first pop star. He came from this town. The first pop star in the world was Giacomo Puccini. And now I'm going to finish singing 70 years later, the first person that inspired me when I was a little toddler in Liverpool, Elvis.
You ready, boys?
Yeah?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, ow, crying all the time. Well, you never got a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. You said you was high class, that was just a lie. You said you was high class, that was just a lie. Well, you never got a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Well, you never got a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Ow! Shit, you never got a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine.
Thank you.